Welcome back to the channel, you sexy little loot goblins. Today, I woke up and chose violence against my own enjoyment. The question on the table, can you beat Diablo 3 using only common gear? No blues, no yellows, no legendary foreplay. Just pasty, unsalted loot, the gaming equivalent of getting ghosted mid-hand job.
Hey yo!
For the uneducated heathens in the back, Diablo is a glorified loot slot machine, wearing an ARPG trenchcoat. You're not here for plot twists or emotional growth. You're here because your monkey brain sees an orange beam and immediately lactates dopamine. Diablo 3 turned that shit into a science. Fewer drops, way harder hitters, and a smart system that feeds you class-specific upgrades like a very generous dealer. It's the video game equivalent of edging, and today we're denying ourselves the orgasm. So let's talk about the rules, gentlemen, because without them, this just becomes me crying on camera. First, white/grey items only. If it's blue, yellow, green, or orange, it can fuck right off. Second, normal difficulty. I flirted with hell difficulty a bit, and it rearranged my internal organs with zero foreplay. If that sounds like the sort of thing that gets you aroused, give that like button a consensual tug, and tell me in the comments what fresh hell I should put myself through next. Alright, lock yourselves in place, because we're about to test whether raw, unseasoned loot can still clap demon cheeks and save Sanctuary. Before we turn Sanctuary into a war crime, we need a hero.
Well, I have to save my ass.
I chose the Crusader because I like to live long enough to regret this. His blessed hammer build, lovingly known as Hammerdin, fires spinning hammers in a full circle, letting me kite mobs like a caffeinated chicken with a purpose. And with no legendaries in sight, it's the most reliable setup for common gear. We roll into Act 1 like a pilgrim with a cock ring and zero confidence, and for a brief moment, everything feels under control. Honestly, the opening stretch was suspiciously chill. The Crusader in white gear is just normal. That's the intended experience. For those opening minutes, I wasn't being punished, I was being gently caressed by the tutorial. And that made sense. At this point, nobody has good gear. There's no crit, no cooldown reduction, no legendary bullshit doing algebra in the background. We're all broke, underpowered, and spiritually naked together. So commons only? Who gives a fuck? But that illusion lasted about as long as my confidence in a public bathroom stall. Naturally, I ran to the vendors, the emotional support NPCs of Diablo, the ones who usually bail you out when RNG spits in your face. Except Blizzard looked me dead in the eyes and said, no white gear, no starter junk, no bargain bin salvation. Suddenly my entire plan collapsed harder than a boner in an awkward family conversation.
Oh my god! What is that?
By now, the game has made its stance very clear. Vendors are useless, upgrades don't exist, and white drops feel like winning custody. Leveling a Crusader is the opposite of foreplay. There's no build-up, no planning, no intellectual stimulation whatsoever. You grab punish for lonely targets, shield bash for emotional release, and spend the early game walking up to demons and smacking them like you caught them talking shit behind your back. But the second level 12 hits, the Crusader stops flailing around like a confused virgin and finally finds religion.
You need Jesus, man.
Blessed Hammer slides a finger in, and suddenly everything makes sense. You spawn a holy Beyblade that spins around you, dealing 320% weapon damage, orbiting your body like divine protection. Or at least like it gives a shit. Which all sounds amazing in theory, right up until you remember my weapons are white, underleveled, and dead inside. When your gear is common trash, 320% weapon damage is just a fancy way of saying I'm hitting enemies with 3 scoops of dog instead of 1.
I call that shit.
I recruit Cormac the Templar, and the game quietly hands me a safety net with abs. He's got a constant life regen aura, a heal on 30-second cooldown that actually slaps, and Guardian, the ability that activates when I should be dead. He rushes in, knocks enemies back, heals me for 15% of my life, and shields me for 5 seconds. It's like being breastfed by a medieval himbo with frosted tips and a savior complex. Having a follower in Diablo 3 is basically having a sub in the bedroom. They exist to serve. They don't ask questions, and sometimes they stop you from choking to death. Templar heal is the only reason this run doesn't immediately shit itself. I learned real quick to time my face tanking around the cooldown, and once you trust it, you start pulling entire cemeteries of skeletons just to watch them dissolve under spinning hammers. It's intoxicating, like edging yourself on a treadmill.
What?
Our first real vibe check is Erotic, the Skeleton King, Diablo's tutorial bit. On a normal run, he's a complete non-event, a speed bump with osteoporosis. You walk in, fart once, and he collapses like a lawn chair at a swinger's barbecue. But turns out, Erotic slaps when you're wearing armor made of hopes and wet dreams. White gear means I can't face tank anything, so every swing is a full body colonoscopy. I'm kiting in circles, cheeks clenched, praying to a boss that looks like he smells like plastic pumpkins and disappointment. But after enough ass clapping and patience, the bone bag finally shatters, confidence refills, and I waddle over to the loot like a survivor leaving the scene. And that's when the game drops the act, because next up is the Butcher. And unlike Leoric, this isn't a tutorial skeleton. He's here to itemize my mistakes and staple the receipt to my ass. Normally you rock up with a rare weapon, some blue armor, press your spender, and watch his health evaporate. But in this run, it's me, a shitty white weapon, and the Templar whispering sweet nothings into my ear. The arena's tight, his furnace attack carpets half the floor in regret, and one greedy step gets me meat hooked into the afterlife. I kite, spam hammers, and shotgun red orbs like tequila shots at a divorce party. A few moments get spicy, health bar flirting with 0, and I beg the Templar to call me pretty and lift me emotionally. He delivers, the Butcher falls, and I high-five my imaginary chap. Act 1 ends and I'm officially delusional. The Templar's heal is hard carrying, my blessed hammers are less floppy than before, and every white upgrade fuels the life forming in my head. Act 2 is where the honeymoon violently expires. We leave the cozy dungeons for Chaldean's sun-blasted hellscape, and my mood drops accordingly. Enemies get beefier, hits get meaner, and my DPS turns into courteous little sack taps. Even on normal, Act 2 bosses start exposing the wet noodle reality. Magda especially, a flying STI with a god complex. Her bugs buzz everywhere, and my white weapon politely asks for consent before doing damage. I chase her around the arena while she teleports like an ex dodging responsibility. The Templar tries to help, but it's like slapping a novelty band-aid on a gunshot wound. We win, barely, and leave our dignity behind. Then comes Zoltan Cool, the Sam Wizard equivalent of a fuckboy who thinks mechanics are foreplay. His whole deal is tornadoes and fireballs that will leave your ass medium rare. Usually he dies before any of that matters, but on commons only, I'm forced to see the whole routine. Full fight, no skipping. My DPS is so dry I tried dirty talk and it left me on red. This fight claps my cheeks so slowly, it feels personal. After Cool finally finishes edging himself to death, I get about 30 seconds of peace. Just that post-nut clarity where your soul sits down and says, yeah, this is only getting worse. Act 2 doesn't offer recovery. It cracks its knuckles like a dominatrix and sits on my face. It looks me dead in the eyes and whispers, alright champ, let's see how long you can last. And right on cue, the game rolls out its real closer. No gimmicks, no teleporting bullshit, just raw damage, raw endurance, and a health bar built exclusively to rearrange my chocolate starfish. Enter Belial. Everyone's favourite sentient danger noodle caps off Act 2 with the confidence of a god who's done this before. His first phase barely counts, blink and you miss it kind of bullshit, but his final form, that's when he stops flirting and starts clapping cheeks. Poison everywhere, AoE slams, full screen ground pounds that turn my posture into a suggestion. In proper gear, he melts. In white gear, this turns into a tantric nightmare. I learn his moves by heart, dodge like my life depends on it, and ride the Templar's heel like a friend with benefits. By the end, my wrists are cooked, my eyes are dust, and I hallucinate the comment section chanting, keep pounding daddy. We survived, but something inside me definitely snapped. Act 3 drops us in the Bastion's Keep, then drags me through snow and straight down into the fleshy meat tunnels of the Ariat crater. Normally, this act is usually a free handjob. On a commons only run, it's an endurance test disguised as gameplay. Trash mobs are fine. Blessed Hammer's 360 spin cycle deletes imps and fallen like I'm clearing my browser history. But the second an elite shows up, it's an instant hemorrhoid. It feels like it takes 3 full minutes to kill an elite because my DPS is lower than my GPA. My RAF is always empty, and I'm spamming justice between hammers like a desperate man, waiting for Viagra to believe in me again.
Can do it all night long.
By the time I've been clapped by enough elites to qualify for workplace compensation and a disability parking permit, curiosity takes over. I convince myself of a dangerous lie. We could probably handle hell now, and because I hate myself, I do exactly that. And Diablo immediately reminds me that hell difficulty doesn't flirt, it chokes. The second I get surrounded, my health bar evaporates like my confidence at a high school reunion. No time to kite, no time to think, just instant regret and a loading screen asking me what the fuck I thought was going to happen. Lesson learned, normal difficulty it is. I crawl back with my tail between my cheeks and promise not to get horny for difficulty settings again. Which is wild because right after hell difficulty tries to murder me in an alley, Act 3 finally rolls out its bosses, Gorm and Asmodan. And for once, the wheels don't come flying off. Gorm waddles in first, wheezing poison like a kid ripping a vape behind the gym. I keep my distance, spin hammers, and make sure I'm not slow cooking myself in his fart clouds. It's not fast, it's not sexy, but it's controlled. No panic, no cheek clapping. I leave the room smelling like shit, but otherwise fully intact. Then there's Asmodan, Diablo's resident Discord mod with a god complex, huge arena, massive health bar, endless talking that means absolutely nothing when your DPS is legally classified as weak. Weirdly though, this fight behaves. Plenty of space to kite, telegraphs you can actually read, and Blessed Hammer doing its dull, thankless labour. No danger spikes, no hero moments, just sustained, beige violence until he finally shuts the fuck up. Both bosses drop without much fuss, and that's the scary part. Because if Act 3's supposed brick walls didn't stop me, that means something far worse is waiting, and Diablo is absolutely reaching for the lube.
Yeah, boy.
Act 4 is short, tight, and absolutely packed. There's only a handful of areas before the finale, which means no filler, just pressure. Isil is the last real test before Diablo. He's a massive fallen angel with frost powers, slowing everything, leaping like a dickhead, and occasionally dropping frozen bombs just to remind me he hates fun. The fight drags on, but it's manageable. I keep my distance, time my hammers, and let the Templar gently kiss me back to consciousness whenever I screw up. Normally this fight's a 30-second quickie. On white gear, it's 5 full minutes of foreplay and mutual disappointment. Post Isil, the game shoves me across the great span and straight into betrayal. Right before Diablo's realm, Blizzard drops a bone prison on my Templar and throws away the key, permanently. During the Diablo fight, your follower is trapped forever, meaning you fight completely solo. No heals, no backup, no gentle forehead kisses after mistakes. Just me, a sad common weapon, and Diablo himself. The moment I see Cormac behind bars, my stomach drops out my asshole. I've been leaning on that hill like a crutch the entire run. Without it, I'm not undergeared, I'm exposed. So I walk into Diablo's arena like a man pretending he doesn't know he's about to receive a colonoscopy. The Diablo fight starts, and immediately the power gap punches me in the dick. There's no heroic version of this fight where I just needed cleaner dodges or one god tier attempt. Diablo doesn't outplay me, he checks my stats, laughs, and folds me like a lawn chair in under half a minute. I walk in feeling dangerous, spin my cute little hammers, dodge like a god, and my health bar still gets a raise like it owes him child support. Potion deleted, health balls sucked dry, hope turning into fucking mulch. This isn't me throwing, this is Diablo breathing in my general direction and deciding my lungs have seen enough action for one lifetime. And usually Diablo 3 throws you a courtesy condom. Grind a bit, buy better gear, come back harder and hornier. Except, I can't. Merchants won't sell me shit. Crafting gives me nothing but false hope and blue balls. And grinding is a cruel little fantasy where the loot drops nothing and my ass still gets clapped. The real insult hits once you commit. Diablo 3 hates common gear. Whites are rarer than orgasms in a Catholic household. I could farm elites all night, watching yellows and oranges pile up like a cruel joke, chasing one higher level wide drop. And when it finally lands, the outcome doesn't change. Diablo still treats me like a disposable fleshlight with cooldowns. I'm not short a cheeky 10% damage here. I'm missing entire fucking multipliers. I'm missing the system Diablo 3 is literally balanced around. Diablo's health pool assumes I'm abusing every system in the game. Instead, I'm politely spinning hammers and getting my organs rearranged. Eventually, the rage dies and what's left is a diagnosis. You cannot beat Diablo 3 with only common gear. Diablo doesn't test how well you play, it tests whether you're allowed to play at all. And without gear scaling, sustain, or my follower playing emotional support king, the answer is already locked in. Sometimes a challenge doesn't fail because the player breaks. It fails because the math already came. And Diablo 3 made sure I felt every inch of that realization. So what did we learn here? Aside from the fact I'll spread my dignity and my cheeks on camera like it's a kink, a commons only Crusader does work right up until Diablo decides it doesn't. On normal, the early and mid game are chill, enemies are built for newborns, white weapons bumps still matter, and Blessed Hammer pulls its weight like an honest blue collar spell. The Templar heals my flat ass like a saint with benefits, and for a few beautiful hours, the delusion stays as hard as my trouser sleeve. But the second bosses stop being polite and start bringing real HP, the seams rip open. Though legendaries means no multipliers, no sets means no scaling, and the moment Diablo throws your follower into horny jail, the fantasy dies on impact. So here's the final unsexy truth. No, Diablo 3 cannot be beaten with only common gear under these rules. You think I'm capping? You think you've got more endurance, more patience, more ass cheek fortitude? Then step up. Beat Diablo 3 with commons only and send me proof. I'll swallow my pride, my words, and possibly something else. Until then, appease the algorithm gods, like, subscribe, and comment, my hamster ate my snot tier, so I know you actually finished and didn't nut early. And if this still wasn't enough pain for you freaks, don't worry. The next video is already chambered, Borderlands 4 with no shields, because apparently I hate safety, therapy, and myself. Thanks for watching, keep your hammers spinning, your gear aggressively white, and your kinks enthusiastic and consensual. Here's a little kiss on the forehead for you all. Sweet dreams, you animals.